Hi guys, I'm Athena.
And I'm Dan.
And if you haven't been to our channel before, we mostly just talking about hiking and camping things. And I guess this video is going to include some health things as well. Today we're going to be talking about hiking safely during a pandemic, which is timely. I don't think I really thought we were going to make this video, but like here we are. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna go through like some of the precautions that you should take, and then also things that you can do safely without like harming yourself or others.
Yeah.
You wanna start?
So one of the biggest things that you can really take a precaution against is to not be around people. That's the whole social distancing thing. You want to stay 6 feet away from people. If you do have to be near people, like grocery stores and everything, have the lines on the ground, trying to make sure that people do stay apart. We're both from Syracuse, and we've gone to many of the outdoor places around there. And after this started, we had never seen it as busy, at least this early in the season. We'd never seen it that busy because people were trying to get outside because they were stuck in their houses most of the time. And it became a real problem because people just couldn't get apart. So they just couldn't stay far enough away from each other, especially on the small trails at many parks and forests and that thing. Just trying to stay away from people is the biggest thing that you can do. And let's say you get somewhere, if the parking lot looks full, maybe go and try to find somewhere else. I know it kind of sucks, but that's the best way to make sure you can protect yourself and everyone else.
Yeah, and I would say that like one of the biggest things is that if you think, oh, there's still only say 25% of the capacity, and they're letting people, at least in New York State, have up to 50% of the capacity of state parks now. Even at 25%, there's going to be a lot of people. There's huge parking lots at most state parks, and you can't stay 6 feet apart. And 6 feet is like the minimum that you should be staying apart. That's the bare minimum. And so try to find places that have like longer, like wider trails and less people, so you can at least stay apart. It's not ideal, but maybe step right off the trail, at least to try to, get away from people. So just taking like basic precautions, be sensible. Yeah. So the next thing is, obviously most bathrooms are closed right now. Well, if you've been backpacking and you know that you have to use not use the bathroom, you have to go in the woods. You already know how to do that, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But just think about that, like just use the bathroom before you leave. There's a lot of people in state parks, and you really shouldn't be like casually peeing on the side of the trail, so just try not to. But if you're in like a state forest or something, it's a lot easier to like dig a hole or whatever. So yeah, that's also kind of common sense. And the other thing that I thought of recently, which hasn't really been talked about a lot, but with most hikers, there's a lot of, you want to pack it in, pack it out, and like make sure that you're taking in other trash that other people have left at, on the trail or wherever you are. Right now might not be the best time to pick up other people's trash. I know it kind of sucks because you feel kind of crappy like seeing it on the trail and being like, oh, I could pick up that cup, but it might not be the best choice right now because you don't know how long it's been there or whose mouth was on it. So really just ideally don't pick up other people's trash. Just make sure that you're picking up your own. And yeah, I know that's kind of counterintuitive to what most hikers would do, but sadly that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah, you really sucks, but just try to be smart because, like you said, you don't know how long it's been there, and plastic just stays. So it could look fresh, be 5 months old, could look 5 months old, be fresh. You never know. Yeah. Another thing that helps you minimize the contact with other people and like the spread and everything is to minimize the length of your stay with wherever you're going. It kind of sucks if you really like being outside. You're outside a lot usually, and right now it's tough to. But say instead of being at a park or a forest for 6 or 8 hours because you wanted to do just a lot of walking that day, minimizing it to maybe a couple hours, an hour or two, that can really help because you just have less contact and you open it up for other people to do it instead of just you being there all day, and then someone else might not be able to get out of their house like at all and do anything.
Oh, there's mosquitoes. Yeah, that's a good point. And also, like, obviously we're, like, at a little, like, lean-to right now, but there's been no one at this state park for days, and we haven't really seen anyone here whenever we've been here. Nothing's really moved. So, like, trying to take the precautions, I usually wouldn't, like, sit here, but also we know that people haven't been here. So it's kind of important just to remember, like, think it through logically and see, like, okay, well, if no one's really been here for the past, like, 5 days, I'm probably fine. But if you can see that people have been in a certain area and touched certain things, you probably don't really want to be there. Next, and I guess our last, like, precaution is don't go into the back... That literally said... Our list says don't go into the backcountry and be stupid, which is pretty accurate. Just, if you've never been in the backcountry before and you've never hiked, you know, a mountain or longer trails, now is really not the time. It kind of sucks, too, because you could be going out and learning something new, but... It's really unsafe to go somewhere, especially in the spring when it gets cold. You don't really know what you're getting into. You don't know how good your gear is. Something new like that, you just don't want to start doing. If you're more experienced, I understand, like, you know, take your own risk, but know that a lot of EMTs and other rescue people are really trying to put their efforts towards, you know, actually stopping the pandemic. So if they're helping other people, you don't really want to take away that resource from other people. But also remember, like, you can do other simple things that, you know, are still practicing and training for something that you're going to do later this year. We've seen, this kind of came up because we've seen a lot of people on, like, the AT before they closed it, or the PCT, and, like, the idea that you would stay on a long trail during a pandemic and carry, potentially, I mean, you don't know, potentially carry a virus from one small town to the next is very selfish. And even on a shorter trail, if you're coming from one community to the next and you're going to smaller communities, they don't have hospitals. And even if they do, it's a small hospital. It is not meant for, like, large health issues. So a lot of those people will have to go somewhere else to even get any health care. So just really try to stay within your limits and know your limits. Kind of a good example is, like, we're out here right now and we have, like, our actual backpacking backpacks on, and we, like, add weight every single day to just try to keep on working up to a, like, higher weight. But we know we're not going to actually sleep out here right now. And if we do camp, we're going to camp in an area that's, like, pretty safe to us, pretty close to home, and there's no one there. So just taking those precautions those are really important. Next up, we have actual things that you can do, like actual suggestions. Yeah. Rather than telling you, no, you cannot do that.
Getting to the fun stuff now. As kind of a bridge to what I'm going to say next, we went camping at a state forest, which there's usually not many people, and that's actually a really good place to go right now, especially if you know how to be careful, you know how to make sure you don't cross a posted line, make sure you don't trespass, make sure you're safe and you're not really going to hurt yourself. But there's usually not many people at state forests or national forests because they're just not as well marked, they're not as well developed, and it is a little bit more difficult to do it. But for just a little day hike, it's really not any different than walking on a trail. You just get to walk through the woods, not on a trail.
Unless you get lost.
Well,
don't get lost.
Offline Google Maps are your friend.
Headlamps are your friend.
Those are big, yeah. Don't get lost in the dark. But we lived in New York for our entire lives, and we just hadn't really realized how much state forest land there is. New York has a lot of state forest land because New York said no to national forests, which...
There's one.
Well, yeah. But just there's a lot of public land that isn't necessarily a park that is really good because it's free. It's as long as you respect the people who border the land and the land itself, no one really cares. So just pack your stuff out, leave no trace, all that stuff. As long as you do that and you're smart about it, honestly, it's a great place to get outside right now. Yeah,
the other thing is if you don't have state forests around you, I mean, I know a lot of people live in, like, cities, and that's, or don't have a car, usually use public transportation is a lot more difficult. So even going on a sidewalk, you're going to be in contact with like 20 people immediately. So obviously not ideal, and unless it's an essential thing like getting food, try not to do that. But there are still things that can help you stay sane. One of those is just camping, like in your backyard, if you have a backyard, or in your house. We've done this. We haven't really done this. We haven't actually camped like in the tent in the house. But we set like the tent up in our living room. I've been doing work there. Just so like you have another room. Like if you don't have very much space and you just have like a small apartment. We've been living in a smaller apartment for a month?
Yeah, about
Maybe?
that now.
And I've just been doing work in the tent, and so like it's just a nice little extra room that I have. So if you can do that, whether it's outside or indoors, yes, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Whether it's like outside or indoors, it's kind of nice just to have like an extra space. And the other thing is, I don't know why I'm really blanking right now. Okay, the other thing. Sorry, I'm not good at this. The other thing is like spend time like planning for future things. One thing you can just do is like clean all your gear. I know that sounds like super boring and nerdy of me, but like if you clean all your gear, then next time you use it, you'll like be happy that you did it, even though, I mean, you might not have time for that, but if you do have time for that, it's something to do. Or also just like plan for future endeavors, even if it's not like an immediate thing. Be like, oh, in 2 years I want to hike the AT. Let me go down the list of everything I want to do. Like, if you have time to waste and you want something to do, that's something to do without actually going outside. And I know a lot of different national parks, as well as I think the AT, maybe the PCT, they have like virtual, basically a tour now, like virtual ways to hike different trails. So it's kind of a nice way to be able to see that and plan out what you want to do next. I know I've been looking in California, and I'm like looking at all these national parks that I want to go see. So if you need to waste time, that's a good way. I guess I'll let you do the last one.
Yeah, so the last thing is if you're in more of a suburb. In the city, it's a little bit more difficult because there's so many people. But if you're in more of a suburb, or even if you're not in a suburb, as long as it's safe to walk on whatever road you live on or in your neighborhood, you can just put your pack on and fill it with heavy things or your gear. I filled the bear can with lots of cans, and just walk around your neighborhood. We were going to go to a state park, and it was packed full. We decided it was a bad idea, so we're just like, we're going to walk around the neighborhood. And it actually turned out to be kind of nice because it was just so quiet. Just could kind of walk along the road, and it was nice because the road's wide enough where you didn't have to be next to people if you walked past somebody. And yeah, so that's another great way to get outside, especially if you don't have a car. That's a good way to do it because you don't have to drive anywhere. You're just walking out of your house.
Yeah, I guess like I'm just gonna end this in a minute, and I know it's been long. It's like 13 minutes, but anyways, like I know a lot of people have been saying things about like coronavirus, and that's, it like feels like everyone's bombarding everyone else with information about this. So I don't really want to contribute to that and like the fear tactics of it. Like I have asthma, so I'm definitely worried about getting in. Like that's why we've been up north more, just because we're trying not to be around people. But it's mostly just about being smart. We see a lot of people, especially our age and like in their 20s, just going out and like seeing friends all the time, and that's when they get it. If you're being smart, it's a lot less likely that you're gonna get it. And know that most people do recover, so I mean that's a good thing too. And like as someone in public health, it's kind of hard because I've seen a lot of like, flatten the curve kind of things and things that people might not understand, and I think it's hard. Like I don't know what the general public understands. Like I understand that because that's what I've been studying for the past 3 years, but a lot of people may not know what that means. And basically the whole thing is about being like smart about what you're doing and making sure you're limiting contact with people. So like the same goes with backpacking. Like being out in the backcountry or hiking and backpacking is like, that's a privilege, not necessarily a right now, because you don't, you're trying to save everyone else's life. So like your hiking desires don't necessarily you shouldn't be doing all of those things just because you want to and infecting other people potentially or yourself. So yeah, just like be smart about it and think about it whenever you like go out and wash your hands and stuff. Yeah. This wasn't meant to be fear tactic-y. I hope it wasn't.
Not meant to be fear tactic-y, just meant to help give you some things to avoid, some new things to try, more just be smart and save people's lives and all that.
Just casually save people's lives.
Yeah. By being smart, you are saving people's lives.
I think that's like one of the best things about public health is like I love this. I'm such a nerd, but like one of my professors was like, if you like public health works when nothing happens. Like you see public health working when like absolutely nothing happens. And that's what we want to happen is like nothing to happen. We don't want anyone to get sick, and that's the whole point of it. So, yeah. I'm gonna stop because I'm just gonna go on a rant. Okay. We hope this helped in some capacity. If you have any questions, just click a little comment thing, and like it, and maybe subscribe if you find us semi-appealing in any way.
Also below. I like doing the little finger thing.
I do really like the finger thing. I think I got you to start doing the finger thing.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.